Hello, this is Lino Tadros from Falafel Software. Welcome to the video for ICustomWidgetVisualization. Let me explain what this interface is all about and how you can actually take advantage of in Sitefinity. I'm going to go ahead and open up a website in here. This is a Sitefinity web application. And when you run this for the first time, let's go ahead and log in to the Sitefinity administration here for a second. We'll wait for this to render. We're restarting the app right now. And now I can show you going to a page. This website have a very two simple pages, have really nothing on them, the home page and the About Us page. Going to the home page, you'll notice here I have a content block that says Welcome to Falafel. Notice when I drop a content block, for instance, for the first time, there is this icon and hyperlink that gets displayed in the middle of the screen. Okay, whether you click on this hyperlink or you click on the edit here, they mean the same thing. It means open up the content block, bring the designer up for the editor, so that you can change some specifics or characteristics of that specific widget. Alrighty, you will notice these things are available also on the image. Dropping an image control, you'll have the select image. Notice it has a different icon inside of there. So you probably ask yourself, when I create my own control, whether it's an ASCX control or a custom control, for instance, as a DLL assembly, how can I actually make my control have the same thing? And these things always show up when you don't have something selected. It means the control has not been configured yet. That means if you already enter some content in here, this will no longer show up. Same thing with an image. Once you select an image to show, this characteristics of the widget here will not show up anymore. This is only showing up when it's empty only. Alrighty? So let me go ahead and show you how this stuff works really in Sitefinity 4. We're going to actually go back in here. I'm going to stop this from running, and I'm going to open up Visual Studio here really quickly. There is Visual Studio. And let's go ahead and create a directory here called My Controls, and I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new control really quickly. Again, it doesn't matter if it's an ASCX in my current website or it's a custom control like a DLL in a different project like a class library. It's going to be exactly the same thing to implement it. So I'm going to come in here and we'll say New Item. There is my web user control. Let's call this one, we'll call it My Custom Widget. Alrighty, so that is my new ASCX control. It's going to create it with C# as the code behind for it. As you can see, it's completely empty. It doesn't really matter what we're going to have inside of it. I can just drop a label in here just to show you. We can drop a label in here. We can make it say Welcome to Sitefinity. Alrighty. So having something like this, that means this is how my control is going to look like. It's going to display the word Welcome to Sitefinity in here, and we're good to go. Alrighty. Now let's go ahead and open up the mycustomwidget.ascx. Let's open up the code behind for this C# code. You will notice it's completely empty. The page load has no code in it. The important thing for me is that my custom widget control is descendant from the web user control. You can, of course, create a custom control descendant from composite control. You can create a simple view, any kind of control you want. As long as you come all the way at the end in here and you force the inheritance based on a custom interface from Telerik. It's called ICustomWidgetVisualization. Alrighty. Notice the system doesn't know about it yet because this interface is already referenced in the DLLs in here, but it's not in the using statement. So we'll need to come in here into the blue underscore, and we need to include the Telerik Sitefinity Web UI namespace. Once you add that to the using statement, the system knows exactly what the ICustomWidgetVisualization is all about. I can come in here at this point and I can actually implement the interface, and you'll see the interface is very, very simple. It has nothing but two properties. One, it returns a string, which is the empty link text, and the other one is a boolean. Hopefully you run a function in here to tell you if the control or the widget is empty or not. For right now, I'm just going to hard code it. Let's go ahead in here. For instance, we'll say something like return, and we'll say, wow, that is way cool. Alrighty. So this will be the link that will show up in the middle of the screen when the control is empty. So what do we need to return for this is empty boolean in here for that property. So I can come in here, we'll say is empty is true. Otherwise, it will not show. If I say this is false, this will never show up because it will tell the control that I am not empty. So although I'm cheating in here, I'm going to say true like that. Although I'm cheating in here, this should be a function that you can write somewhere so that it can get into your control and make sure that your control is empty, whether it has to go and access the database somehow and find out that there is no text, for instance, inside of a specific control, or the label that we place in there that the text of it has not been assigned any properties. Just do whatever you need to do to find out if your control has been configured yet or not, if it's empty or not. For right now, I'm just going to force it to show up by saying return equal to true. All right, let's go ahead. This is actually all that I have to do. I'm not going to create any properties or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and run my website. So we'll run this guy one more time. Let's go ahead and register this control really fast. We'll say Sitefinity. We'll wait for it to restart. And once this is done, I will be able to register my control. Okay, now we go to administration, we'll go to settings. We'll click on the advanced. And we are going to tell our toolboxes in here under the page controls. Notice I've actually created my own section called the falafel widgets. Let's go ahead into that section, and I'm going to create a brand new control in here. The control type is in our case, will be the path. If you have this as a custom control, this needs to be the actual CLR control type itself. But for right now, we'll make it as a tilde, which is the root. And I believe we put it under my controls directory. Backslash, and I believe we called it my custom widget.ascx. If that is the correct path to get to the specific ASCX control we created, that's all I need here for the control type. The name, we'll call it my custom widget, for instance, and the title could be whatever you want. We'll say my custom widget. And we can put a description, blah, blah, blah. You can do whatever you want for the rest of this stuff. Alrighty, my control has been added. Now let's go to the pages, and let's go ahead and drop this control on a page and see if that worked. We're going to click on the home page. And hopefully on the right side in here, under the falafel widgets, we'll see that there is a new control showing up, and there it is. My custom widget is appearing right here. What happens now when I drag this guy and put it right at the bottom of the first content block? Let's see what it will display. First of all, the welcome to Sitefinity coming from the label is displaying, but I actually tricked it. I did tell it that it's empty, so this interface thinks the whole thing is empty because I'm forcing it to be is empty equal to true. And it did display my link, which says, wow, that is way cool. And the icon, which is the default icon in the system, will show up automatically. So whether you click on the edit in here or you click on this guy, they will cause exactly the same thing. And that is for the editor to show up. Notice I just clicked on that. And that is the built-in editor for any web user control in the system. Sounds good? Alrighty. There is one last thing that I need to show you. We did almost 90% of the job, except that if you don't like this blue rectangle that they displayed in here and you would like to create your own image that you'd like to show in here, well, that takes a little bit more work and a little bit more patience, really, to find out exactly how you're going to get the URL for your image in here. But let me go ahead and show you anyway how we're going to do that. I'm going to back out from this. We are going to go back to Visual Studio here for a second, and I'm going to stop this from running. And instead of just inheriting from the ICustomWidgetVisualization, which has these two properties, there is another interface. It's actually called ICustomWidgetVisualization Extended. It actually inherits from this guy. The only difference between this interface and the other one, which is called the same thing, but at the end there you'll say the word extended, that this guy in here will have one more property. Notice in here, if I implement it, it will understand that there is one more property, and it's called widget CSS class. And it returns a string. That means whatever I'm going to be showing up in here, this will be the class name that I'm expecting this to be available in my CSS somehow. So With that said, I can come in here, for instance, and I can say return, and I'm going to return a class called, let's say, Lino, for instance. Okay, that means it will look into the CSS that is being loaded in the page where the control is being loaded, and it will find out if there is a Lino class available in the CSS, and if it does, it will actually show all the characteristics inside of that hyperlink, which is the little icon that you saw, like the red blue rectangle. That means you can actually make it a background red, for instance. You can do a background image by loading a PNG or a GIF file or a JPEG, and it will always display all the stuff inside of there. Let's go ahead and try to do that here really quickly. Let's go ahead into the app data. There is my Sitefinity directory. Let's go ahead and show all files so that I can see everything inside of here. We'll say show all files. And there is my Sitefinity directory. And you can see there is no website templates available in here. I'll create one really quickly. We'll say Sitefinity, add a new folder. It should be called website templates. There we go. And underneath the website templates, we create our first template. And inside of a folder, we'll call it my template, for instance. Alrighty, underneath the app, the my template in here, this is usually where people will create the app master and the app themes directory. I don't really care much about the app master because I don't want to create a master page, so I'm going to just stick with the app underscore themes. And under app themes, we'll create another directory with the right name of my new theme. Let's call it, for instance, my theme. Okay. And under my theme, we'll create another directory in here, and this should be called global. And this is a very special directory for Sitefinity because every single CSS underneath the global will be loaded automatically by the system if you load that theme. So you don't have to physically write any code or do any markup to load any CSS under the global directory. Okay. And if I want, I can probably go into my theme in here, and I can actually create another directory, and we'll call it images. Alrighty, so there we go. And now let's go ahead and load an image, for instance, inside of my image directory in here. We'll say add an existing item. I'll go to my pictures directory. Let's find a small icon. There you go, falafel logo, small here. So there is my falafel logo small.png. And what I want to do right now is to create a CSS file inside of my theme in here under the global that will reference this specific PNG. So let's do that. First of all, I'm going to go in here to the global. We'll say add a new item. And as you can see here, because I'm way deep into the hierarchy, it doesn't know really what I am, so it's not going to help me much. So to cheat around that, you go to the Sitefinity web application itself. We'll say add at that level first. We'll say new item. And it's here that I can find all my JavaScript and my style sheets and everything if I want to get into that. So let's go to in here until we find a style sheet. There it is. Let's call it whatever we want. I'm going to call find main, for instance, and there is my main CSS. Alrighty, let's create a class like we told it to. It's going to be called Lino, and inside of here we can say background color, background image, whatever you want. Let's go ahead and do a background image, and we're going to use a URL. And in here you're going to have to be careful with this one. The URL in here, it will have to have the full path using the new virtual path provider from Sitefinity. So this one actually took me some time to figure out what exactly I need to pass. This // thing doesn't work very well in here because it will be very confusing to find out where exactly you are when the widget gets displayed on any page. So what I'd like you to do is to put a slash in here. Notice we are under the Sitefinity, so I'm going to say Sitefinity /. Let me come in here again and find out website templates. Website templates. This is the point where I'm saying sometimes it's easier to put a CSS file somewhere else pretty close to the root, so you don't have to write a very long line to get exactly to where you want it to go. But in this case in here, that will be just fine. We'll say website templates, my template / app underscore themes / my theme. And in here we'll say images, and in here we'll say falafel underscore logo underscore small .png. So it's definitely a mouthful, but it will definitely work just fine. Let's put this inside of a string in here so that we have this whole thing taken care of, and we are good to go. So in our line in here, we're saying that the .lino class here, the lino class in the CSS, has a background image of that specific logo that we're getting to. Let's save this guy. There's the images in here. Now I need to make sure that whoever loads this page that I'm going to be dropping the My Custom Widgets on it is using that theme. So let's go ahead and do that and see if that will work. We'll go ahead and run my site. We'll wait for this to load. And now I'm going to just go ahead and get into the back end for Sitefinity. Alrighty, we'll go to Pages, and in here I'm going to go ahead and visit my home page. And in the home page, when I go visit there, I just want you to remember that it might not work. Definitely, it was not going to work, the piece about the URL. And notice here, if I go to the Falafel widgets and drop this My Custom Widget in here, I'm not expecting this to work, and it didn't work. Why? Because that page is not using that theme, so that CSS is not loaded automatically for me. So how can we fix that? Let's go to the layout in here. And this one is using the right sidebar. That's fine. Let's go ahead. Now that I know that, I'll just go ahead and publish the picture, the page here really quickly. And I'm going to go back and modify the theme on my right sidebar template inside of Sitefinity just to be able to test it. We go to Design, Page Templates, and there is my right sidebar header footer. I'm going to open up this template in the Template Manager inside of Sitefinity 4, and I'm going to go to Theme in here, and notice in here it's not using except the basic one, and that's not the one I definitely want to load. So before I do that, let's go ahead and load our new template. We'll go to Administration, Settings, go to Advanced, and all the way at the top where it says Appearance, we're going to go to the front end, and there you can see there is only one called Basic. We're going to create our new theme. We'll call this one My Theme, and the path to it will be the mouthful of \app_data \Sitefinity \website templates \my template \app_themes. We're almost there. My theme, and you don't have to put global or anything like that. It knows how to load everything for that My Theme, including the global underneath it. We'll say Save Changes, and there is my theme ready to go. Now let's go back to our page templates again one more time, and if we bring up this right sidebar header, and if I go now to my theme, notice there will be two different themes, the basic and the My Theme one. The My Theme one is the one that contains the Lino class. I'm going to click on this guy, and there it is. I did not actually make it's a different one. I didn't have a body element in there, so it used the entire screen, which is fine. I'm going to say publish this, and now we're making these modifications permanently to the template. Any page that uses that template, which we have 2 pages using that template already, if I go ahead and open up the home page, I'm hoping that we will be able to see, well, it did not work. So let's go ahead and find out how to debug something like that. So, excuse me, how do you debug this? I'm going to take this, and I am going to go to Firebug in Firefox, see why we are not able to see. I'm going to go ahead and load this in Firefox. I like to use Firebug for that. We're going to have to log the other admin off from the Chrome browser, and we'll come in here, enter my password, and we're ready to go. Alrighty. So that's a good thing to be able to do that as well. If you push F12, of course, if you have Firebug installed, Firebug is definitely extremely helpful for these kind of things. So I want to find out why this guy is not loading. I said that this class should be the Lino class. Alrighty. Let's click on this in Firebug and go highlight this specific component in there. And there you see it says here a class equaled sf add content link, and it's using the Lino class. So I'm in actually good shape. So the code is written correctly, and the div and the hyperlink are definitely using the correct class. So why is Lino not showing up with the correct image in here? Well, let's go to the CSS styles here on the side, and let's keep going down till we hopefully see something that has to do with our main.css. And as you can see, it is nowhere to be found. There is no main.css in here. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go all the way to the top of the page. Find out in the header section in here. See if the main found the CSS file. So there's the more menus, there's the window. One of these guys should definitely be the main.css in the system. No, it's not loading it. I guess that's the problem. The problem is that it is not loading the stuff on the global, which I have a main.css. Let's go ahead and take a look. Why did it do that? Oh, yeah, well, because we didn't move our file when we created it on the outside into the global. That will happen, you see. I created my main.css on the root, and I forgot to push the shift key and move main and put it under global in here. Let me go ahead and stop this from running so I can do that. I'm glad that I did these errors so you can see what's going on, so you can learn more about what the problems that you can have. So that is my main.css now. I'm in much better shape. Okay, let's go ahead and do that one more time, folks. I'm going to run this again. But again, Firefox told us that it could not find the main.css file in the global. That's why it did not load it automatically into the page. So that automatically told me that there was no main.css. So that's a good thing for you to be able to do something like that. Alrighty, let's go ahead and run this again in Sitefinity, and I'm hoping this time we will be able to see our logo in there with no problem. Let's go ahead into Sitefinity one more time. Pages, and we click on Home. And there's the home page, and let's see if this time it can see the logo. It still cannot see the logo. Alrighty, let's go ahead and keep debugging. I'm going to debug it here again. We'll refresh this page. It will ask us to log in, which is fine. Can I actually do the same thing in Chrome? Yes, Chrome has a similar something like Firebug, but I actually got used to Firebug and I like it very much, so we'll stick with that. We'll come in here, and it's using Lino in here, and I'm expecting to see main CSS. Ah, look at that. Main CSS this time is loading, and my image is really good. So Firebug will automatically tell me that, look at that, the background image is being overwritten by something inside of the Telerik Sitefinity itself. So as a matter of fact, the Lino class is taking effect, but after we load the Lino class, something maybe for the SF add content link or something in Telerik Sitefinity is overriding to put this specific blue rectangle in here. How do we fix that? We fix that by going back in here and do something not great, but we don't have much of a choice. We're going to come in here and we'll say important. Okay, once we put important in here, we will take precedence over anything else. We'll save this, and let's go ahead and try to refresh this page one more time. And this time I'm hoping that this will take place. Hey, look at that, our image shows up, and my main.css is loading, and my background image is taking precedence because of the pound important, and I could actually change completely the look and feel of my customization widget. Alrighty, hopefully that was useful. And hopefully to see you again in other videos from Falafel Software. Thank you.